The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hello my dears, welcome back to the world of virtual classes. I hope you all are doing well and preparing for your exams, right? So, I want to convey you a small message. Hard work plus dream plus dedication equal to success. So, work hard, dream big, dedicate yourself, definitely success will be yours. I hope you all love this message. So, let's begin today's session. In the previous class, we have come across Gandhiji's Tolstoy farm, which was an extract taken from the story of My Experiments with Truth, which is an autobiography of Mahatma Gandhiji. And in that Tolstoy farm, he was explaining about a farm in which there were several boys and girls who belonged to different religion, and Gandhiji remains as a father for all these boys and girls, isn't it? Yes. Okay children, let's continue with the lesson, page number 62. Now I will read out the fourth paragraph. But as I fully appreciated the necessity of a literary training in addition, I started some classes with the help of Mr. Kallenbach and Surgeon Pragji Desai. Nor did I underrate the building up of the body. This they got in the course of their daily routine. For there were no servants on the farm, and all the work from cooking down to scavenging was done by the inmates. There were many fruit trees to be looked after and enough gardening to be done as well. Mr. Kallenbach was fond of gardening and had gained some experience of this work in one of the governmental model gardens. It was obligatory on all, young and old, who were not engaged in the kitchen to give some time to gardening. The children had the lion's share of this work, which included digging pits, felling timber and lifting loads. This gave them ample exercise. They took delight in the work, and so they did not generally need any other exercise or games. Of course, some of them and sometimes all them malingered and shirked. Okay children, now I will explain the paragraph in detail. But as I fully appreciated the necessity of a literary training in addition, I started some classes with the help of Mr. Kallenbach and Sergeant Pragji Desai. Nor did I underrate the building up of the body. So Gandhiji thought that it was very much necessary to teach the children, that is the boys and girls inside the farm, that is to read and write, that is the basic skills, that is to read and write. So along with Mr. Kallenbach and Pragji Desai, he decided to give some classes to the boys and girls. Nor did I underrate the building up of the body. This they got in the course of their daily routine. For there were no servants on the farm, and all the work from cooking down to scavenging was done by the inmates. Beyond this literary training, all the works inside the farm were done by these boys and girls, because there were no servants on the farm to do all these works. So, the works like cooking, cleaning, washing clothes, even scavenging. Do you know what is the meaning of scavenging? That means cleaning or removing out the waste materials. So all these works were done by the boys and girls inside the farm. So they doesn't need any other physical exercise. All these works were done by these boys and girls. There were many fruit trees to be looked after and enough gardening to be done as well. Mr. Callenbach was fond of gardening and had gained some experience of this work in one of the governmental model gardens. So Mr. Callenbach, he was very fond of gardening and he had gained some experience in the governmental model gardens. It was obligatory on all, young and old, who were not engaged in the kitchen to give some time to gardening. So it was obligatory. What is the meaning of obligatory? That is, it is mandatory on all, that is, whoever is not doing any work inside the kitchen should do the gardening work. The children had the lion's share of this work, which included digging pits, felling timber and lifting loads. The children had the lion's share of this work. Do you know what is the meaning of lion's share? No. That is, lion's share means it is an idiom which means major share of something. So here in this farm, the children had the lion's share of this work, means the children has to do all the major work inside the farm. This gave them ample exercise. They took delight in the work and so they did not generally need any other exercise or games. So they were digging pits, they collected so many woods and they lifted so many loads. So these works were enough for them and this gave them ample exercise, that is enough exercise or sufficient exercise. That is the meaning of ample. Ample meaning sufficient. They took delight in the work and so they did not generally need any other exercise or games. So the children inside the farm were able to do all the work, so they doesn't need any other extra exercise or games for their physical fitness. Of course, some of them and sometimes all them malingered and shirked, because as I told you, they were able to do all the work inside the farm, but sometimes they feel malingered and shirked. Do you know what is the meaning of malingered? Malingered means to pretend to be sick, that is, they act as sick, so they doesn't want to do any work, so they don't want to do any work. That is the meaning of malingered. Malingered or shirked. Shirked means shirked. Shirked means to neglect. That is, so many children were able to do the work, but sometimes they neglect or they won't do the work. Okay dears, let's move on to the next paragraph, page number 63. Sometimes I connived at their pranks, but often I was strict with them. I dare say they did not like the strictness, but I do not recollect their having resisted it. Whenever I was strict, I would by argument convince them that it was not right to play with one's work. The conviction would however be short-lived. The next moment they would again leave their work and go to play. All the same, we got along and at any rate they built up fine physics. There was scarcely any illness on the farm, though it must be said that good air and water and regular hours of food were not a little responsible for this. That is, this paragraph speaks about how playful the children are. That is, sometimes I connived at their pranks, but often I was strict with them. That is, even though Gandhiji was very much strict with them, sometimes he connived at their pranks. What is the meaning of connived? C-O-N-N-I-V-E-D. That is, to pretend to be ignorant of something. That is, he pretend to ignore their pranks. What is the meaning of pranks? P-R-A-N-K-S. Pranks means tricks. That is, even though Gandhiji knows that they were playing and they were playing some tricks, Gandhiji tried to ignore all those things. Okay. I dare say they did not like the strictness, but I do not recollect their having resisted it. Whenever I was strict, I would by argument convince them that it was not right to play with one's work. So during the time of work, the children, sometimes they love to play. At that time, Gandhiji tells them that it is not the right time to play, but that doesn't matter. The children love to play and they they continue their playing. The conviction would, however, be short-lived. The next moment they would again leave their work and go to play. So whatever let Gandhiji says, that doesn't matter. They just leave their work and they will play again. All the same, we got along, and at any rate they built up fine physics. Because of their playing and doing all these work inside the farm, they had fine physique. There was scarcely any illness on the farm, though it must be said that good air and water and regular hours of food were not a little responsible for this. There was scarcely any illness on the farm. What is the meaning of scarcely? That is, it was very difficult to find or very much rare to find any illness inside the farm. It is why? Because they had good air, good water and regular hours of food inside the farm, so they doesn't have any illness. The children inside the farm doesn't have any illness. Moving on to the next paragraph. A word about vocational training. It was my intention to teach every one of the youngsters some useful manual vocation. For this purpose, Mr. Kallenbach went to a Trappist monastery and returned having learned shoemaking. I learnt it from him and taught the art to such as were ready to take it up. Mr. Kallenbach had some experience of carpentry, and there was another inmate who knew it. So we had a small class in carpentry. Cooking almost all the youngsters knew. So children, already I told you the children inside the farm were ready to do any type of work or any kind of work like cooking, cleaning, washing clothes, gardening, etc. So at that time Gandhiji thought that there is a necessity of giving vocational training to these children. So Gandhiji decided to give them vocational training, and he informed Kallenbach to go to the Trappist monastery to understand and how to make shoes, and Mr. Kallenbach learned shoemaking and he taught them shoemaking. I learned it from him and taught the art to such as were ready to take it up. Mr. Kallenbach had some experience of carpentry, and there was another inmate who knew it. So we had a class in carpentry. Cooking almost all the youngsters knew. So as a part of this vocational training, Gandhiji was able to teach them shoemaking, carpentry and also cooking. Cooking already almost all the youngsters inside the farm knew how to do cooking. Next paragraph. All this was new to them. They had never even dreamt that they would have to learn these things someday. For generally, the only training that Indian children received in South Africa was in the 3 R's. That is, all this was new to them. Inside the farm, there were several children who came to the farm from different condition, different environment and different religion. So for these children, all these things, all these vocational training, literary training, everything was new to them. They had never even dreamt that they would have to learn these things someday. So in their life, they would have never been thought of such things, that is, one day they have to learn all these things like cooking, cleaning, carpentry, shoemaking and so on. For generally, the only training that Indian children received in South Africa was in the 3 R's. So what Gandhiji says is that the Indian children in South Africa only learned the 3 R's, that is reading, writing and arithmetic. But Gandhiji's ideology was not the same. What he wants is that a child should learn through experience and experiment the true system. That is why he always stresses on moral training and vocational training that should be given to all these children. Next paragraph. On Tolstoy farm, we made it a rule that the youngsters should not be asked to do what the teachers did not do. And therefore, when they were asked to do any work, there was always a teacher cooperating and actually working with them. Hence, whatever the youngsters learned, they learned cheerfully. the final paragraph speaks about a rule inside the Tolstoy farm, that is, the teachers should not ask the children to do any work without their cooperation and coordination. That is, Gandhiji tries to create a sense of coordination and cooperation among the children and teachers. So, inside the farm they were able to do any work, any kind of work or teaching or any kind of work with cooperation and coordination. So, the children inside the farm were able to learn cheerfully and they did their work cheerfully. So, okay children, this is all about Gandhiji's Tolstoy farm. So, now let us recollect the story once again, right? Okay. So, Tolstoy farm was a community of Indians started by Gandhiji in Transvaal, South Africa. He has chosen this name Tolstoy because he was very much impressed by the writings of Leo Tolstoy. Inside the farm there were several boys and girls who came up from different conditions, different environment and different religions like Parsi, Christian, Hindu, Muslim and so on. And Gandhiji's ideology was that he stressed on learning through experience and experiment. That is, he was not ready to accept the present system of education or the existing system of education. So, he wanted his children to learn through experience and experiment, and he was considered as the supreme head of the family, and the children inside the farm considered him as their father and also pater familia. Then what else? Inside the farm the children were able to do and they were ready to do all the works like cooking, cleaning, washing clothes, gardening and so on. Mr. Kallenbach was a great supporter for Gandhiji and he supported Gandhiji for doing all these works, and by teaching the children and giving them enough support. Gandhiji always stressed on the culture of the heart and not the culture driven by the society, and also building up of a good character which can be gained only through moral training. Finally, what Gandhiji says is that he has always given importance to vocational training which he was able to give to his children, that is like shoemaking, carpentry, cooking etc., to make them a good citizen and to stand in their own feet. And by working together with the children, Gandhiji was able to create a sense of cooperation and coordination among the children. So, okay children, and we have completed the lesson Tolstoy Farm written by Mahatma Gandhiji. I hope you all enjoyed the session. If you have any doubts, you may contact me. What I want to tell you is that read the lesson once or twice so that you will be familiar with the new words. Okay? So, have your food properly, drink plenty of water, sleep well and stay safe. Meet you in the next class. Till then, it's bye from your Aparna teacher. Bye-bye.